So you've just started collecting shiny cardboard. Now welcome to the hobby, you absolute legend. I want to share with you some card collecting tips and some mistakes to avoid. And if you've made any of these mistakes, don't worry, I made all of these mistakes myself and I've only been collecting for 1.5 to 2 years. Now the first tip is to make sure that you protect your cards, because like it or not, these shiny bits of cardboard hold a little bit of value, and if you damage them, the value goes down. Now a lot of young collectors, especially like little kids, is that they just get their cards and they just like place them on the desk. This is what I did when I first opened my Dragon Ball Z pack, and I pulled a gold rare and I just opened it up. It was worth like $2,000 and I just slapped it on my desk, and luckily it didn't get damaged. But if you can just see this card here, let's see, it's got a bit of like whitening and stuff on it. So this would be like light played or even close to medium played. I don't know why I'm doing it like this, but the value on this card will not be what it would like the full market value on it, because it's played. It's got a little bit of damage on it. So first bit of protection you can do is get a little penny sleeve, okay? And you just, when you open up your pack of cards or whatever, or you get a card, chuck it into a penny sleeve, just like that. Now the next thing you can do, if you want to protect it even more, you can put it into a top loader, okay? Don't put the card straight into like the top loader. Make sure it's got a penny sleeve, because you can scratch the card's surface when you put it into the top loader. If I can do this under pressure, just like so. Okay, so that's a couple of ways you can do it. Now, you don't really want to have like thousands of these just like protecting your cards, or just having your cards like that. Okay, well you can, but most people like to have binders and collect in binders. All right, so one binder here, this is my selling binder, but I've got it like this. Okay, so you can put it in the penny sleeve and then put it into a binder. But then again, there are binders that are better than others. All right, so I'll give you one. This is like a bad binder. So there's also a thing called bad binder behavior, when you don't put your card into a sleeve and then put it into a binder, because you can like damage the card again. If the card rubs against the back of the binder, the like print on the card will rub off. So I've done that mistake buying from like someone that has done that, and the backs of the cards aren't protected. So it's just a little extra protection before you even put it into more protection. Now this is like, I don't know, when I was collecting, and I was like, I wanted to collect every different like hollow and stuff, so I just started collecting this and I put it in here. These cards aren't worth that much, but maybe in a few years they might be. So these little binders here, I don't like these like plastic ones with these like plastic, I don't know, sleeves, because see these little like hooks here, the cards can get pushed on that, and it's just not very good protection. And over time, these cards in closest to here may get damaged. So I wouldn't recommend a binder like this, but you can. It's better than no binder, I guess. So there's one binder I would kind of stay away from. The next binder I would semi stay away from is one of these binders. Now I don't know what you kind of call these. It's just like a I don't know, folder binder. They're better than the binders I just showed you previously, but because they've got more solid here, and then they don't have the ring in here. But this little thing, this clip that goes over the top, this thing, it can like squish the cards down over time, and yeah, you just don't want that. You just want something that's going to protect your cards pretty much like full time, really, I guess. And then this little thing is just not too good. I'm explaining this really poorly, but you want to get a binder like a zip binder, kind of one like this. So I use like these ones for like when I go to my shows, big ones like this, and even they've got bigger pockets, so I can put more cards in here too. But they don't have something that's going to like squish them down, and they don't have the ring inside for like when you're collecting. So pretty much all these cards in here are safe as houses. So that's one thing. And then you can get other, like if you want to just have your cards like this and you want to display them better, you can get magnetic casings and stuff like that. But this is why like people send their cards to PSA, because, or other grading companies, because they get put in a slab. I'll show you one like this grout on here. It's protected in a solid case. It's not going to get damaged, and it's going to be like that for the rest of time in my collection for the rest of time. So this is why they send it to grading. One, because it's well protected, and now it's like also authenticated. So that would be the first thing, is just protecting your cards well, because you want to keep the value of your card, and you don't want to damage your cards. And if you, especially if you're like looking to sell your cards later on, I myself personally aren't going to buy like especially modern, that is like munted, because no one else is gonna want to sell it. Sure, if you just like using it for a binder yourself, you can collect that way, but yeah, in terms of like maybe you want to sell your cards later on, yeah, you're gonna have a harder time selling your cards for the price that you want if they're damaged. So that's number one, protect your cards. Number two is to not buy into the hype or buy into the trends or buy a card that is just released, because 9 times out of 10, they're all gonna be like close to the peak or really high price. Now, I've made this mistake with a Charizard from 151. One time I bought it at $400 and then it shot all the way back down to 250. So if I waited for like the little spike to come down, I could have bought it at 250. Granted, now it's like $500, but we are in another hype period. So if you're buying a lot of cards now, especially the big cards, and have done a big trend, and it's just like you can just see the graph going straight up, just be prepared that it could highly potentially come back down. So if you're one to like FOMO in, you're gonna get burned and you could potentially lose a lot of money. Sure, if you hold it on for another 10 years, 15 years, that hype period might come back around. But what is trending now might not be trending in the next 5 years. So there's some old like Sword and Shield like cards that were like popular when they came out. Now they're they're at their lowest of lows. So, and you can also look at like early Scarlet and Violet era. I think like the Iono was like, the Miriam was the popular card that came out at the time. That was the most popular card. Now it's not the most popular card, you know? So yeah, just be careful with your money, because it is an expensive hobby and you want to make the most of your money. And it sucks when something goes from $200 and it drops down to $100 or even below that. If it's like a $5 card, it drops to $3, bro, that's all good. That's $2, you know what I mean? But if it's a big card, just be wary. And back to like, don't buy a card when it just comes out, because when a card just comes out, like let's say I've got a Latias EX that came out, $600, bro, I know that Mega Latias SIR is gonna drop from $600. I want to sell that card straight away because I know it's going to drop, and I want to capitalize on that fast. But maybe I'm going to sell it to someone that is like buying into the hype and really wants that card, because if you wait a little bit, you pretty much guaranteed that it's going to come down. Same goes with like first PSA 10s, bro. I don't understand why people are paying like these massive premiums on the first like PSA 10, first Beckett 10 or whatever, because there's going to be more of them on the market soon. It's because there's like none on the market, and when more gets opened, there's going to be more on the market, and then after that, it's pretty much like a race to the bottom. You know, they're trying to sell their card first, and then they just drop their price lower, and they just because they want to get the biggest bang for their buck as they can straight away. But if you're like a new collector and you're following like the new cards and stuff like that, you're gonna get burned if you're buying like at these really high prices. So especially in like with like these booster boxes and stuff now on the secondary market, if you can't get it for MSRP, going crazy. Like this Mega Evolutions, it's like $700 now. This is New Zealand, but bro, the set just released a week ago. You know, I could have bought a booster box for $300 if I was to like pre-order it, something like that. But so just don't like fall into the hype, and there probably will be reprints. Will it go back down to MSRP? A lot of the stuff, maybe not, but you know, it probably will come down a little bit because there's going to be more of them coming onto the market. So patience is like a massive skill to learn in this hobby. I do make this mistake myself a lot of the time, but yeah, I just got to remind myself, it'll probably come back down. You know, there's going to be other deals that you can do. There'll be more cards of that card again. Don't worry, a deal will come around again, okay? Now, the third one is kind of similar, okay? Not really, but it's more money thing, is to don't rip open everything. Don't try and chase your card for everything. I'm not saying don't rip, because I would be a hypocrite, because I like to rip, but I would just have like a dabble with it. You know, when a first set comes out, I'll rip open a few packs. But if you're trying to chase your card, the odds of you like hitting that card really, really high. And if you do hit it, it pays off and it feels well. Maybe you've done it like the first like couple packs you've done and you think you're going to do it again. Don't make this mistake I did, because you are going to chew through your money. And then you end up with all this extra other stuff that you don't want, and you're like, fuck, what am I going to do with all this? Whether you store it or you end up just, sometimes I just mainly just end up giving it away, because I was just like, I've got so much extra cards, I just don't want this stuff in my house. So usually I just give that to the kids. They love it, which is great. But yeah, and it also helps you save your money if you buy your singles. So that would be a tip. Buy your singles that you like. So usually when I collect, if it's a set, I don't usually master set. That would be a tip. It's like, don't master set something. You can master set something, but beware there's going to be like, at the start it's all good, because when you rip open stuff you need all those cards, but then if you keep ripping and then you like try and put them into your master set, you're going to end up with so much bulk. But to stop like you spending so much money on ripping packs, I like to buy the cards, or the cards from the set that I like. That way I've got this card that I like, and it's going to stop me going into the store and buying more packs to try and chase that card. Now, the chase, in my opinion, is much more fun than like buying the card myself. That's why you do it, you know, it's that gamble. And it's like, it's nearly like it's like part of the collecting journey, you know, you've done it the right way in a sense. But is the right way worth $1,000 more than you can just like buy a card for $100, you know what I mean? So you could buy a lot more cards that you like with the money that you could potentially spend ripping. So that's what I would just try and recommend. But I'm not saying not to rip, because I do love to rip, but that's just another tip. The fourth tip and mistake is trying to collect them all. Now, there are so many cards in existence. I remember at the start of my journey when I was buying and selling collections, every card that I didn't have, I was keeping. And then I was like, bro, I ended up like not being able to sell any more cards. And it's just like nearly impossible, because there are so many cards. It would be like trying to read every single book that has ever been written, or trying to watch every movie that has ever been created. It's just like physically not possible, okay? So what I would recommend to do, if you don't have an infinite amount of money, which I'm sure most of you that are watching don't, because especially here in New Zealand, we don't have that kind of disposable income. We are quite a poor country at the moment, is to find what Pokemon you like, or just a couple of Pokemon that you like, and just collect the cool cards of that Pokemon, you know? So this is what I do now. I collect like Mews, Charizards, Mewtwo's, some Pikachus. I don't collect all types of Pikachu because he's not my favorite. Blastoise, he's my guy. Typhlosion, these are all Alakazam and Gengar. So I like those kinds of cards. Now I can't go back and collect all the other cool cards of that, like of those Pokemon, because some of them are so expensive. Now I do my best, but just stay within your budget too. So that's going to be another tip, but we'll get to that. But that's what I would recommend. Find the cool cards or cool Pokemon that you like, start collecting those. I wouldn't recommend to do master sets, like I said before, because it's just, at the start it's fun, but then you have to find like these little like reverse holos, and it's like tiring. And then yeah, so I would just start with like the Pokemon that you like, or the characters that you like. If you like Dragon Ball Z, I love Vegeta and Goku and Gohan, Trunks, pretty much all the Saiyans really. So I like to, if I get some cool cards of that, I'll keep that. But just, yeah, you just want to, again, it's just the money thing, right? You want to like use your money wisely, and if you try and collect them all, it's just going to be too hard, okay? So yeah, even though the motto is like catch them all, collect them all, whatever, bro, just stick to the Pokemon that you like. I would start there. Everyone's like, how should I start? And I'm like, bro, just what's your favorite Pokemon? You might see the new sets coming out. You also might find there's some cool cards in the sets that you like. So you just look at the sets, look at the cards that you like, and do it like that, okay? If you were going to do it like a master set, I would just say, like these days, just master set the illustration rares and the special illustration rares. And now I don't like trainers so much, so I don't really collect trainers. So I'm like, meh, I don't care about the trainers. So I just, unless they got a Pokemon in them, you know, that's cool. But there are some trainer cards that are actually kind of cool when they pop, you know. So just go through the sets, pick out the cards that you like. That's what I would recommend. And that kind of brings me to my next tip, is to do some research. Now do some research on like the sets, and also the research on prices, especially if you're buying and going to card shows, because people can just like list anything they want and they can put any price on it. Now you want to know what a card is worth, because again, you want to use your money wisely, and you don't want to overpay for something. Now unfortunately, that is like kind of a thing in the hobby. People get a little bit money hungry, and like there is a price tag attached to these things, like I said at the beginning, and some of them can be quite a lot, and people can manipulate the market as well as just do whatever they want. So make sure you do your research on the card. Now, you don't want to get burnt like me, and I just made a rookie mistake one time on my journey. I hadn't seen any Korean cards before. I thought they were Japanese, and I paid for the Korean cards at Japanese price. Now, the Korean cards were a lot cheaper, are a lot cheaper than Japanese, so I spent more money on those Japanese cards that were Korean. So I got burnt. So that can happen to you. So if you want to collect in a cheaper way, sometimes doing that, you can do that. Collect Japanese over English. Usually it's cheaper than English. Japanese is usually cheaper than English, and Korean is usually cheaper than Japanese. Now we've got Chinese cards, which are coming pretty popular, and some of them are crazy. So just make sure that you're doing your research, and that they're also, another tip is to make sure that they're not fake, because there is a lot of fake cards on the market. It's usually pretty good in the Pokemon like vending world, but it's usually if you're like going up, if someone's coming up to you and selling, someone could just like know that what they've got and they're like, it's fake. Okay, so but if you're like buying online, make sure it's not fake. Okay, and just, yeah, you should do your research, because you want to know how much the price is worth, and then you can like have a room for a bit of a haggle, try and get the best price you can. Okay, so do your research and don't get burnt like me. Fuck, it's happened more times than I like. Okay, and especially if you're, and so this will be the next tip, make sure you take good photos, or you look at the conditions of the card before purchasing, because just like when you're protecting, not everyone's going to be protecting their cards, and if you don't get good photos and you're thinking you're getting a good deal, maybe you're not getting a good deal. Now I got burnt a few times. This person said he was collecting for ages. Yeah, I put them straight into the binder. He put them straight into the binder, but they didn't have the sleeves on the back, so you must have taken them in and out a few times. The condition got pretty bad. So they look good from the front, but I was just like, I was just like wanting to make a quick deal. I bought those cards, and some of them were pretty banged up, especially the big ones. So make sure you're buying good quality cards, again, doing your research, and that the cards are in good condition, because again, I had trouble selling those cards at a higher price later on. I got burnt again. So yeah, there are just so many mistakes I've made, and I just want to share with you guys. Now the next tip is to be patient. Being patient is such an underrated skill. I need to like look at myself in the mirror and look at myself in the camera here. Be patient, you fucking muppet. Because there are always going to be other deals that pop along, especially like talking to myself here in the Pokemon card business. Someone will offer me something and I'm like, that's a pretty good deal, but maybe I'd have the money, but like I won't have enough money for maybe the next deal, and the next deal is better. So be patient, because there are always going to be other deals and other times that you can get these cards, you know. So especially again, if you're buying at the hype, just be patient, bro. There will be plenty of other opportunities. I just need to say this a few times to myself. So it would be just like one awesome skill. If you can master that, you're going to do so well in this hobby, and not like chew through your money, bro. Being patient, and then after that, like doing well in this hobby, is to set a budget, because maybe you have $200 on the new set to buy the Mega Lucario, but at the time, right now, that's $600. You're like, fuck, man, that's a crazy price. But if you're patient and you set a budget, in a few months, maybe it's going to come down to $200. You know, the next shiny cardboard, this next Charizard SIR that's going to come out is going to draw all the tension away from the new Mega Evolutions, and Phantasmal Flames is going to get all the hype. Now all this other cards in the Mega Evolutions, maybe they come down, and then you can buy it, you know. And then this Charizard that's going to come out, it's just going to be absolutely crazy, and you can't afford that. But maybe over time it's going to come down, and I feel like it will, especially with like some of these sets, smaller sets, this Charizard. There's going to be heaps of them on the market. When it first comes out, it's going to be bonkers, but after time, once it gets ripped open so much, it'll come down. So if you can be patient and have a budget, you're going to save so much like money, and you're going to be able to collect more cards, which is like, this is the aim of the game, isn't it? To be able to nearly collect them all, but collect more. and most importantly is make sure you have fun while you're doing it. It can get like, oh man, I lost a lot of money. But if you do all those tips it's going to be fun, you know. It is very fun. It's like a bit of a drug. This like collecting stuff. It's like, yes, I got this card, and then you're like, okay, what's the next one I can do? But make sure you're patient. Don't spend all your money at once and overspend. Okay, so budget, patient, protect your cards, all those other tips. Do those. If you're going to do that, you're going to be pretty sweet. If you can't tell, this is just off the top of my head, but those are some card collecting tips if you're a beginner, and some mistakes to avoid. And if you enjoyed that, please like and subscribe. Join the Facebook group Insane Legends. There's some tips. I'm out.